Nobody's ready for that job. Nobody's ready for the command position. You're in charge. That means you're ultimately responsible. Somebody dies, it's your fault. Somebody gets hurt, it's your fault. And when I took command, every morning I'd look in that mirror and I'd go, be vigilant, Joe, because I do not want today to be the day that I kill somebody.
Being a commander, what was that shift like? Like, what does that look like?
So, military has ranks. You start off as an officer rank. 10 years into it, I became an ensign, then a lieutenant junior grade, then a lieutenant, and then a lieutenant commander, and then a commander, right? So as you're going through these leadership challenges, first you get a couple of people, then you get a couple more people, and then you get to supervise more people, and then you get to supervise officers, and then you become a commander. And a commander is basically the command rank, right? So you get scrambled eggs on your hat, and you get to lead a lot of people. So getting to that point was great. It's in my opinion, the greatest rank in the Navy because you get to go off by yourself and do things. So I got to go off by myself and do things. That was a terrific endeavor. Now I had my boss that was up in Washington State, and you had to report to that guy occasionally. But short of that, you're pretty much on your own, supervising your guys, and you are on the deck and doing your work that you got to do. So being a commander in the Navy was absolutely terrific.
What's the pressure like? I mean, I know obviously you've worked your career up the whole time, but then to be in charge of so many people and for such important reasons.
When I took command from Keith, who was the guy before me, I took command from Keith. I walked in and he has a stateroom, which is basically the place on the ship where he sleeps. So I'm the only one that had a single person stateroom. Everybody else kind of bunked up with people. So as the person in charge, you're you have your own room. And he said, let me tell you something. Every day I look in that mirror, and he points at the mirror and he goes, I think, is today the day that I'm going to kill somebody? And I went, holy fuck. Like, you're in charge. That means you're ultimately responsible for everything. Somebody dies, it's your fault. Somebody gets hurt, it's your fault. You weren't watching. Something breaks, it's your fault. It's all your fault. This is why commanding officers are relieved. You read the papers and loss of confidence in his ability to command or her ability to command, they're fired, right? That's all they ever say in the military is lost confidence in their ability to command. What that really means is that they messed up or something messed up while they were in charge. And the buck stops here, right? So not only could you get fired, who cares? You'll live. You kill somebody. And when I took command, every morning I'd look in that mirror and I'd go, be vigilant, Joe, because I do not want today to be the day that I kill somebody. To pressure. They call it the mantle of command. It's unbelievable.
We spoke in the gym, you said you was tough on your guys. I mean, understandable when you think, their lives are at stake. When you say you're tough on your guys, what does that look like? Like, yeah, that's interesting because you seem like a very down to earth, chill guy, but like I'm sure at times that looked different.
I'm a very different man than I was when I was in the military. And unfortunately, now I have learned you don't ever really have to yell, but I'd yell from time to time and I'd make a scene from time to time and I'd do things for effect from time to time. Because when you're swinging a, 5,000 pound load overhead and you're working with all this metal and steel and you're bringing up a crashed F-14 from 2,000 feet deep, or you're salvaging the Ahimi Maru from off the coast of Hawaii, some big fishing vessel that got crashed, something like that. You're salvaging this stuff. There are no second chances, right? If somebody's standing in the line, in the bit of the line, and the line parts, that person's dead. So when you yell at them, when you berate them, when you're like, that's the stupidest thing you've ever done, right? It's you want that forgiveness from that person, But if they're going to be angry at me, I want them to be angry at me for a long time because they're alive. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's that mentality. It's a shift. It's when you have the first line part on you and you get synthetic line snapback and you see it take out a steel bollard that's this big around and you see it put a dent in that, you go, oh, that would have killed somebody. That would have killed 3 people. It would have gone through 3 people, right? Like, oh man, so they, like I said, they call it the mantle of command. It's you being in charge is you being responsible for people's lives. So it's unfortunate, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. We all aspire towards that position, right? So I tried to have a little bit of fun. I tried to let my guys see that it was fun, because if I'm not having fun, my guys don't want to be me, right? And you want them to want to be you in the end, right? So you have to show them the perks of command, but you also have to take it very seriously that, look, I can't just mess up. I have to be diligent. I have to dot every I. I have to cross every T. I have to make sure, and by the grace of God, I was able to complete it and not lose too many things or people, if you will.
I'm not too sure if this is a silly question, but just some of the ships are so big. Like, is there one commander? Like, are you the commander for the whole ship? Or?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
There's only one person in charge
of the whole thing. And how was it trying to keep your ego in check when all of these people are looking up to the position and aspiring to be in the position that you're in? You finally achieved it. What's that like?
Oh man, you're humbled by the fact that you are in charge of this, and that responsibility weighs on your shoulders. While you're in command, there's no ego involved. You are struggling to stay alive. There's so much paperwork that has to be done. There's so much, like for instance, when we would send people to, like diving places, diving trade shows, like underwater intervention, where they can go and get the latest information of the newest gear that's coming out, right? I'd send guys there. I sent guys there and they did stupid things and they got in trouble. You have to bring them back and you have to admonish them, right? You have to be like, look, right? I mean, that's your job. And then, Johnny, he's getting a divorce from his wife and he said some bad things with his wife. So now you got to be involved with the police. Frank's dog just died, so he's not going to be able to come to work. I mean, it's all of these. There is so much going on. If anybody that's in command has the time to stroke their own ego, they're not doing command the right way. It is literally, when I say a full-time job, it's middle of the night calls. It's middle of the afternoon calls. Oh, you're going to go work out? No problem. Ring, ring, ring. Hey, listen, I got a question about this. Hey, can I have approval to do that? You're always on the phone thinking, figuring out the next step, planning with your team, planning with your other officers and your chiefs and your master chief, and figuring out what the next evolution is, figuring out the next training with the training chief. Yeah, it's a full-time on-the-go job. It's rough.
I think there's a saying, people speak about this idea that nobody really knows what they're fully doing, and like everybody's kind of like winging it in some capacity. Now, I'm not saying that you were. Obviously, there was tons and tons of training that went into that. But I'm curious as to what was the internal voice, like you say, you're putting out all these fires from the external image. Like when people saw you, did they see like a stoic guy who stood at the helm of the ship and like, he's got it all put together? Or would they see chaos as well? And if not, was it all internal? Like, were you just holding it together or?
Just holding it together. Honest to God truth. If your men saw you panicking, if your men see you, remember, comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. Not only are you trained for that physically, you're trained for that mentally. Because if stuff's going sideways around you, I had a guy that got stuck on the bottom in a 1 atmosphere suit, and I'm on the surface. There is zero that I could do. Zero. Would panicking have helped? Would screaming, crying, yelling, wishing it was different? That's not going to help. What you have to do is take it down 3 notches calm down, assess the situation, do the 5 levels of why did this happen, why did that happen, why, and figure out the root cause analysis so that you can fix it. That's the only way you can fix a problem. You have to have grace under fire. You have to be calm in a pressure-filled situation. If you're not, your men are going to look at you and go, that guy doesn't know what the fuck's going on. Now, they all know at some level that you're, I hate to say it, but it's imposter syndrome, right? 28 years in the Navy, I still suffer from imposter syndrome. I have a PhD in biomedical engineering and I'm a clinical researcher. I still suffer from imposter syndrome. I'm having an interview with these cool people. I still suffer from imposter syndrome. I'm like, babe, does my hair look good? How's my shirt? How's my, right? This is all imposter syndrome, right? But it's not fake it till you make it, because you're qualified to be there, but nobody's ready for that job. Nobody's ready for the command position. No, I mean, we train you, we think you are, but then you see stuff and you go, like, I would have never thought that my guys would put in the ballast tank of something that we were transporting back contraband, and they would take a Cuban cigar back through there and hide it in there, and then the import people would find it, and then I have to deal with it, right? It's like, I would never have thought that a guy would take his government credit card and pay his bill at the bar. But, oh my God, they can't prepare you for that, right? There's no, like, you can't be prepared for your soldier. I had a guy that saved my life. And when I say saved my life, I mean, I came back on the ship and I wrapped my arms around him and thanked him profusely. Let's just say that he had saved my life. A year later, he found out that his wife was cheating on him. So he he went and found his wife, went and found her lover, shot her lover, shot his wife, and shot himself. Who prepares you for that? You're just like, and he didn't talk to me. He didn't say a word to me, right? He just snapped. What? How do you get prepared for that? There's no school you can go to. There's no Kobayashi Maru, thing that you can go through to prepare you for every single thing. That's why you have to have good judgment. That's why you have to have sound policies and procedures. That's why we follow checklists when we do things, because you can do all that you can, and then you make what we think are good judgment decisions, and then, never be the senior person with the secret. Never, like at that point, it was like, call your boss right away. Oh yeah, I'm not going to be a senior guy with this secret, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine all of those pressures and then having to perform under pressure. And I guess that we've spoken about this before of not being able to report some of those things, because if you report them and they think, oh, well, maybe it's messing with your mental health or you're struggling, then it kind of impedes on your job, and then you're under scrutiny and it makes it even harder, and it's like a bit of a vicious cycle of probably needing to work through stuff but being unable to voice that opinion.
It is, and in today's day and age, it's way more acceptable, socially acceptable, to go see a therapist. Back then, no, you see a therapist, you're weak. You see a therapist, you're, I mid-tour, I had a problem and I had to start seeing a therapist. It was bad, right? I mean, these things come up, and, and I kind of sort of kept it hidden, because it's not the kind of thing that you want to let people know is going on. So yeah, it's tough to hold it together mentally. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts, right?
So last year, I decided to do a pilgrimage, a physical feat of carrying a headstone from the north of Scotland, 480 miles, back to my son's grave in honor of my son, but also to work through the pain and emotion that I was feeling. With that came one of the most difficult physical journeys that any human has ever faced. I carried a 100 kilo stone for 30 miles, and then I carried a 25 kilo stone for another 450 miles. And it absolutely destroyed my body. Physically, my muscles were broken down. We experienced rhabdomyolysis. I tore ligaments and had stress fractures and scarring all over my body. That's when I started looking into hyperbaric therapy, and HBO Tech, being the leaders in the space, were the first name that came up. So I reached out to the team and I explained my situation. I explained the physical feat that I'd just done and what I was trying to fix. They felt that hyperbaric therapy could be the answer to that. So they flew out the Zugma unit to the Mulligan Studios, and I've been using it for the last 3 to 4 months now. And when I say I've had a drastic difference in the brain fog, that would be an absolute understatement. Whenever I finish a session, I have absolute clear mind. I feel like memory recall and cognitive function is just 10 times better, and my physical recovery has been better as well. It feels like I'm sleeping about 10 hours instead of the 5 or 6 that I usually get. I can't recommend it enough. If you have the opportunity to try it, that's why we think HBO Tech is a great partner for the Mulligan channel, and we're hoping to do some great work with them.